Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the VPA Digital Conference, the virtual conference. And I'd like to introduce Chris Van Zandt, who is the Director of Sales and Training at AdCellerant and a valued partner of ours. AdCellerant is providing sales support and educational resources to sales teams at media outlets across the country. Chris has over 8 years sales experience focused primarily on digital sales and marketing, and a proven track record with meeting and exceeding individual team goals. I know he was a huge help to me. Chris works closely with the AdCellerant sales team to train and advise on partner growth and digital knowledge. He brings sales delivery, training, account management, customer support, client relations skills to the AdCellerant team. Prior to joining AdCellerant, Chris worked as an account manager for Apex Systems, focusing on business-to-business sales in the fields of information technology, business applications, and telecommunications. And he was also an account executive for Voice Media Group. And we are thrilled to have him today. He's going to talk about effective digital advertising and the post-COVID summer surge.
Yes, it's a great way to put it. Thank you so much for the introduction, Susan. I appreciate it. I'm getting a little bit of feedback from your end, so you may want to mute yourself, and that might help. Sorry. Cool, that sounds much better. And feel free to chime in whenever. So yeah, as Susan mentioned, so I've been in the industry for quite a long time. I've been doing digital advertising for almost 8 years now. And I work very closely not only with our partners like Susan, but also with our sales team to make sure that all of our partners are trained up on the best ways to utilize digital advertising. So today, we're going to be going through quite a few things, and I'm trying not to pack too much into the short hour that we have, but I think these are going to be some really critical elements of the sales cycle, the digital advertising funnel, and a lot of stuff that's really going to help your business or your advertisers that you work with, help their businesses come out and rebound from the pandemic. So keep in mind, a lot of the presentations we do will be with reps and sales managers from companies, but we also want to make sure that you guys are taking a lot of this and kind of looking through the lens of the advertiser. So today we're going to talk about who we are. I'll go through it in a quick brief AdCellerant introduction. Susan did a great job already, but we've got a couple slides, so I might as well cover them. But really want to focus on how to make the most of your marketing budget, or your advertisers' marketing budget, how they can plan for the summer surge, post-COVID targeting that's been really, really helpful in the industry so far that we've seen, some specific case studies that we have, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So let's jump right in. So for those of you that are not familiar with AdCellerant, we are a technical and digital advertising company focused on making quality digital marketing accessible to every business. This is something that we have espoused for many years, but one of the things that's really nice and new about AdCellerant is we're really starting to focus on the technology side of the house. So not only are we here to help with sales support, and sales is really in our blood, as you can see from my bio, something that I've been doing for quite a long time, but we are also building and creating our own proprietary software so that we can utilize that within our agency and also pass that along to our partners like Susan and the VPA. So there's a lot going on with us. We just did a release yesterday with some new tools and some new reporting dashboards that we have, and things like that. So I'm sure Susan will continue to keep you in the loop on that, but more to come from our end, especially on the technology side. We are growing very quickly. Our team consists right now of actually, since we built this deck, it's actually closer to about 100. So we like any other business struggled, any other media business struggled throughout the pandemic, but we've come out of it strong. And now we're growing our teams across the board. We're growing our divisions. We're growing our technology side of the house quite a lot. And we want to enable our partners and their customers to do the same thing. So right now we partner with over 300 local media partners and ad agencies in 5 countries and in over 400 plus cities and countries. So, we certainly want to make sure that we have a large reach, but we also want to make sure that we're bringing that agency, small agency vibe to all of the product planning that we do. Susan, did want me to mention that VPA chose AdCellerant as a partner and is offering members the opportunity to access our services and products with no onboarding or platform fees through the AdCellerant VPA buyers group. This would also include quarterly digital training opportunities to VPA members. So Susan and I have been working together for quite some time now, and we'll continue to make sure that you're updated on all things advertising, whether it's through us, whether it's through the VPA, but we are really here to partner together to make sure that you folks have everything you need to be successful in the market. So when we talk about our services, again, cutting edge technology, professional services, and advanced advertising. One of the unique things about AdCellerant is that our operations team is paid based off of performance rather than the number of campaigns they're running. We want to make sure that they're hitting specific KPIs and that they're getting paid for the work that they're doing on those campaigns. We want to make sure that there's touch points on every campaign that we run. So whether we're running them in-house for you or we're running them for an advertiser of yours, it's really important that we track those analytics. It's really important that we incentivize our team to make sure that they're producing the best campaigns out there. We offer many, many different products. So everything from programmatic display all the way down through email and everything in between. There's a lot that we're going to go through here, and I'm going to go through some specific product recommendations that I've seen work really, really well for post-COVID recovery. So we'll certainly talk a lot about that. And obviously, it sounds like people are coming from all over the country today. So, some of this you may need to take with a grain of salt. You may be in a state like Florida that's been open for quite a long time now, and you may be in another state that's just opening up. So some of this will be irrelevant, but there's multiple different phases that we're going to go through in this plan. And I think you can all gain a lot of information from it. So we'll dive into the meat of it now. So this is something that I really like to talk to advertisers and media groups all the time. How do we make the most of your advertisers' dollars? And how can we put together a plan that's going to be really, really effective for those advertisers? And how are they going to capture that clientele? I always tell every rep or manager that I work with to think like a customer. Map their journey for them. As you're making a recommendation, figure out what their goal is. And it says right below, set goals and measurements for success. I work with a ton of reps and a ton of managers that want to focus in on one specific product. That could be geofencing. It could be something like device ID that we offer. It could be an SEO product. But we really want to figure out what the advertiser's goals are. We want to put specific measurements for success in place or certain benchmarks. And then we want to put together a plan on how to accomplish those. Align with the right solutions and test creatives and different messaging. One of the things that I see very often in digital advertising is that people are reluctant to update their creatives. They're reluctant to move from a display creative to a video creative or vice versa. Sometimes those recommendations can be interchangeable, and sometimes a display campaign is more effective than a pre-roll campaign or a streaming TV campaign. It really comes down to targeting in your overall strategy. So certainly make sure that you're working with your teams and working with us to put the right solutions in place. Make sure that you are scheduling monthly analytics calls with your advertisers. This one is critical. It's almost as critical as updating creative. Make sure that you're showing reporting. If you're working with us and through our systems, you will be able to access our reporting dashboard. We just released reports.marketing 2.0 yesterday, which makes it a little bit of a better user experience to get that reporting out. But we can offer and we can send monthly reporting and something that you can follow up with your advertisers on. Gain agreement on adjustments and make sure that there's a plan for future months of the campaign. There's specific products like local SEO or organic SEO where we're going to have 6-month minimums. And the reason that I mention that is that this allows you to work on a longer term marketing plan for your advertisers. I typically recommend looking at those 6 to 12 month plans so that we can start out looking at the sales funnel. We can build a digital marketing plan that's going to last over a long period of time. You'll see when we get to the summer surge information here in a little bit that we're going to go through multiple phases of COVID recovery. And we want to make sure that people are starting out strong, that they're maintaining some momentum, and that they're also preparing for Q4, which is obviously going to be a very big quarter for everybody. And historically is one of the largest quarters in digital marketing. So something that we'll track and keep updating everybody on, but definitely some things to pay attention to. So a customer's journey, again, going back to looking at this through their eyes. So who's the customer? This could be, you could be speaking with an advertiser. We want to know who their customer is. We want to know who they believe their customer to be or their clientele to be. And then we want to make recommendations on data that's out there. So tech is changing. I think this is a really good note from Forbes magazine. Tech is changing. Consumers expect companies will communicate with them in ways that they like. People spend a lot of time on their phones. People spend a lot of time going through emails. People spend a lot of time on Facebook and other social media outlets. Consumers want us to reach them where they are at. So that's really important. During the pandemic, I've used this example many times on many different presentations, but there is a local deli over by our office that everybody absolutely loves. And one of the really neat things that they did during the pandemic is that they did dinner specials that were affordable for families. You get the same great food that you love from this place, but they sent an email to me every week saying, here's the dinner specials. If you buy one of these, we'll throw in free dessert or something like that. Now, those are specific recommendations for specific advertisers, but we want to look at it through that customer, that client journey. And we want to make recommendations like that so that people are getting back in front of their clientele when needed, and especially as they're coming out and things are starting to open up. Map your customer's journey. Consider the sales funnel in almost every step that you take. This is a slide that I focus on with a lot of reps and managers. I actually have a lot of reps print this slide out and keep this on their desk because if they're new to selling digital advertising, this can be really helpful in terms of making recommendations. As you can see from the sales funnel, we're going to start really high with branding and awareness. That could be a really open book or broad targeted programmatic display campaign. But then we want to focus on people that are showing a specific interest in a product or service. They could be spending a lot of time looking at it or researching it. For example, I'm actually in the market to buy a new car right now. So I have been all over the place. I've been to Car Gurus. I've been to Auto Trader. I'm actually showing an interest, and I'm actually getting more into the intent phase that you would see right here, or that you'd see right here in the between interest and decision. So they're starting to target me in specific ways that I've noticed. I have been on car lots. I'm starting to see advertisements come through on applications like the Weather Channel. That's typically something or a tactic that would be used for geofencing. I'm starting to see a lot of video campaigns for the different makes and models that I like. And it is all over my social media. If I get on Instagram or I get on Facebook, I've got auto dealers tracking me down and targeting me, which has been really helpful because I'm very picky about what I want. I've gone on 4 to 5 test drives now. I might be the odd man out in that regard, but I am actually looking for a used car. So I want to be very, very picky about what it is I actually end up buying. So again, this sales funnel is something that should be followed every time you're making a recommendation to an advertiser. Think about what it is their goal is. Is their goal conversions on the website? Is it reservations? Is it test drives? Whatever that may be, we want to make sure that we're targeting people in the right place of the sales funnel to drive that conversion. And that's going to be critical to making sure that you're running a successful campaign for your advertiser and that they're reaching the right customer base. Align with their goals. Again, I'm going to repeat this many, many times during this presentation, but I find it to be very important. And it's kind of that next level of digital advertising sales that I really look at, Rather than just going out prepared with 1 or 2 products to pitch at an advertiser, make sure that you understand what their goals are. Make sure you know exactly what it is they want to accomplish. And then we want to figure out exactly how we can show that in reporting. We want to make sure that we're driving the right people. And then we want to be able to show specific ROI based off the recommendations that we've provided. So, are you reaching your customer along each step of that buying process? Again, that's going to be really, really important. How will they measure success? Not necessarily how are you going to measure the success of their campaign, but what is it that they're going to want to take away from this campaign? That is critical. And it's something that I see younger reps ignore. We want to make sure, we can look at a campaign and say, this campaign we delivered all the impressions, we got all the clicks they wanted, and their site traffic is up. That's great. I love all of those data points. But was their goal to sell 25 cars? That's a specific goal or conversion that we need to know about. That's the best way to make a recommendation for your advertiser, is figure out what it is they're looking to accomplish, what's going to make their digital advertising dollar worthwhile, and then we can make a recommendation based around it. So how can people interact with your website? Is your website or your advertiser's website, is there a good user experience there? Is it easy for people to get on? Does it load fast? Those are all things that are really important. Things like, is their Google My Business page? Has their Google My Business page been claimed? Those are all things that we can help with. And those are all really crucial indicators when you're researching an advertiser. Do they use specific data to collect leads? Do they have a list of leads that they've had over the years that we can get back in front of? If it's something like an auto dealer, do they collect anybody's information that's been onto their site or actually gone in for a test drive? That's a great piece of information that we can have. Those lists are critical. What type of tracking do they have in place? Do they have Google Analytics set up already? Is it something that we can advise on? Do they have pixels in place for other campaigns that they've run in the past? Have they run a campaign through you or through us that already has a pixel in place? Critical. We want to make sure that if they've got a pixel on their website from a previous campaign, can we use that old pixel that's in place? Can we use the pool of users that or web visitors that have been to their site that we could retarget from on easily without placing any more code on their site? How do customers find your advertiser today? I think that's a really critical piece. Are they typically finding them through Google searches? If it's somebody like a plumber, typically what that looks like is I've got an emergency in my house and I go on to Google and I type in, I need a plumber in my area type of search. So again, how are people getting there? Do they predominantly find that people walk in their door? Do they find that people are typically, reading the newspaper and they're figuring out about this advertiser or the small business? That's really crucial. So figure out where they think people are coming from, and then we can expand on that and then also offer some new categories for them. What's the close rate? So what does it take for somebody to come in and actually purchase a product or service from you or from your advertiser? And what's the lifetime value of a customer? Again, retargeting is going to be another crucial piece here for your advertisers. If you have somebody who has purchased a car from you, what's the likelihood that they're going to purchase another one soon? If they purchase a mattress, are they going to have multiple houses in their room that need mattresses? If they are diners, people like that frequent a restaurant, how do we get them back not only for purchasing dinner, but how do we get them back in for lunch? How do we get them back for happy hour? Those are all things that I love to talk to reps and advertisers about, and all critical information that we need to consider when we're rolling these plans out. Setting campaign goals. Again, I've said it 3 times now. This is really, really critical. What reporting is important? Oh, I'm sorry, I got muted there for a second. What reporting have they utilized in the past that they're unhappy with? Or what reporting have they seen in the past that we can expand upon? Is there form fill conversions? Is there downloading information that they want to track? Do they have new users that they specifically want to look at? Are there specific transactions that are really important to them or more important than others? Phone calls are always critical. We can always set up Google My Business to do click to calls. We can do that through a paid search campaign. And then we always want to make sure that we're tracking things like page visits, click-through rates, time on site, and then view-throughs. Those are all critical. So let's talk a little bit specifically about the summer surge. And I'm going to call it the summer surge, but I think this is really a little bit of a misnomer in that it's really that post-COVID rebound. This slide really talks about, over that 2-week period that marked the passage of the $1.9 trillion government stimulus package, consumer confidence rose to its highest level since the pandemic started, climbing to 51.4 points. So in general, that just means that we are seeing consumer confidence grow. I think it's pretty easy to see that as states open up and restaurants open up and different businesses open up, the confidence in the US economy is really starting to rise. I think that there's still some unknowns out there that people are going to be cognizant of, but we are seeing people get out, we are seeing people spend money, and it happens to be right before the summer. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of businesses gaining traction where they wouldn't have seen it last year. Planning for the summer surge again. Communities and consumers are preparing for a return to normal. There's a lot of different states out there that are already in a normal phase. Florida is certainly one of them. States like California are going to be a little bit slower to open up, but we are starting to see that mask mandates and all of those are kind of falling by the wayside. So there's certainly things that we want to keep keep at top of mind. Industries like tourism, hospitality, they're starting to see a lot of different reservations made. They also have a lot of competition in the market. So we're seeing a lot of offers out there for low airline flights, low prices on hotel stays, things like that. A lot of this creates a huge opportunity for businesses to get in front of consumers while they're planning their trips, while they're trying to figure out what it is they and their families want to do this summer. We want to resume the activities that we love, make progress. We want to achieve our goals and not let the pandemic prevent us from living our lives. Spending is part of that. It's a huge part of that. This comes from the Harvard Business Review. And I think this is a sentiment that is carried by many these days in terms of how people want to spend their money, how people want to prepare for the summer, and how people want to go back to living a normal life. So let's talk a little bit about business best practices. Again, having them act now and advertise today is going to be critical. So we're going to look at 3 different phases here. I want to start with phase 1, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the best practices that I've seen. So over the last 18 months, the last 18 months have changed the way consumers interact with businesses. I think that's really something that we all know and have seen in the market. I think when people were hoarding toilet paper and people were staying home, you saw a huge uptick in delivery services, in curbside pickups. Those types of things change the way that people do business. And I think in some ways it's changed things permanently. Even once we open up, I think you'll still see that people are going about business in a different way. Let consumers know how to do business with you or with your advertiser in this particular phase. Let them know exactly the best way to do business, what restrictions may still be in place, and how they can interact with them in the most effective way possible. Craft your advertiser's message. Help them with creatives. Help them relay the right message to their audience. What safety precautions are those businesses taking? And what business hours are they running now? You could be working with a restaurant that typically, was open from 11 in the morning till 11 at night, but now they may be just focusing on dinner, or maybe they just focus on lunch. Make sure that their Google My Business page is up to date with the right information, and make sure that their website mirrors that. If you go and you are looking at a specific business and you see that their hours of operation are different in Google than they are on the website, make sure you flag that and you let them know. What do you offer today that's different from a year ago? I think that a lot of businesses had to think on their feet and change the way that they go about it. They could be changing the specific products or services that they offer. I think every store in the world now sells face masks, so that may not be as important as we open up, but certainly something to keep in mind as you're offering advice on the best way to do this or the best message to get out there. Are there different ways that you do business, like delivery or curbside pickup? I mentioned this earlier. Again, curbside pickup and delivery are something that grew exponentially throughout the pandemic. I think that a lot of people have gotten comfortable with that. And I think that that's something that you're going to continue to see small to medium-sized business offer, so that they can stay competitive with some of those big brands out there. Communicate again, help your advertisers communicate with their customers. Keep their websites up to date. I like to go to my advertisers' websites and I like to check them and make sure that there's no issues with it. In a lot of instances, this could be for organic SEO type customers that may need to communicate a little bit of a new or changed message from when we were in the heat of a pandemic. Step up their local SEO efforts. This one I'm going to stress more and more throughout this presentation. I actually have a slide completely devoted to local SEO because I think this is critical. Making sure not only their Google My Business page is up to date, but also making sure that any other listing sites like Yelp, Yahoo, Bing, any of those are all up to date and they're consistent so that the name, address, phone number, and the business information is all accurate in every place that you go. Start targeting your best, have them start targeting their best customers with programmatic display ads, or even emails. Like if they have a loyal customer base, running a regular email campaign to show them what's going on with their business, what things have changed, what new offers are on the table. Those are all really, really very important. So phase two is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to be geared a little bit more as we get deeper into the summer and into Q3. Help them differentiate their business in May and June. I think this really helps customers, or in June and July, I should say. Tell customers why they should be doing business with your advertiser over the competition. Again, help them craft their message. What unique products or services do they offer? What's different about the summer months for them than fall and spring, or even winter? 67% of customers are willing to pay more for better customer service. And that's according to the International Council of Shopping Centers. And I think that's true. I think that when you look at those big name brands like Amazon and Walmart, while they cut corners in certain areas, they still deliver directly to your house. They still they still offer that quick turnaround on delivery services. So there are some advantages, and there's some things that we can certainly try to align with that they may be doing well that we want to mirror. 1 in 5 customers seeks customized products or services and will pay 20% more for them. This is why I love local brands. This is why I like working with these local companies and making sure that they have the right messaging and they have the right advertising structure in place. Because if you find one of those businesses or brands that does something unique, how do we make sure that people know about it? If they're a custom motorcycle shop or a scooter shop or something like that, as we move into summer and people are looking for different ways to commute or enjoy the summer months, we want to make sure that we're helping them get that customized message out there and get in front of the right people. Consumers are really more likely to do business with companies who advertise how they are protecting the health and safety of their customers and employees. This is one of those things that I don't think is going to change. I think that people are going to continue to update you on safety precautions that they're taking, or safety precautions that they are offering to their employees. Another thing to point out here is that recruitment campaigns are absolutely on the rise. As advertiser businesses are still shut down or beginning to open up, we are seeing that the numbers of people coming out of employment are not growing as quickly as we thought. And so we want to make sure that some of those advertisers have the employee base they need in order to run their business effectively. That's really important. And again, as Susan knows, anytime that you guys reach out to Susan, she can reach out to me and let me know, hey, I need a recruitment campaign case study. Those are all things that we offer. I will also mention that when we talk about employees, We are seeing huge upticks in recruiting campaigns for the hospitality industry, for tourism, for nursing. Healthcare has not stopped growing. So we are seeing an influx of those recruiting campaigns, and certainly something that we can help you and your advertisers accomplish. Differentiate your business. Again, tell customers why they should do business with you over the competition. Programmatic advertising is a great way to reach customized audiences. We always like to joke around on our end that if we need to target red-headed, left-handed golfers that make 100,000 or 100K plus annually, we can certainly do that through our DSP. There are so many data elements out there that allow us to refine our behavioral targeting, and we really want to make sure that we are targeting the right people as we come out and see the reemergence of society after the pandemic. Geofencing your competitors' locations is a great way to get a pool of data, a pool of devices that we can target. We want to make sure that we're including competitor locations in nearby neighborhoods, but we also may want to include, larger venues. For, a restaurant, they may want to target competing restaurants in their area, but they may also want to target the local sports stadium, maybe the NFL stadium or the NBA stadium or the NHL stadium, so that they can reach people that are leaving or going to those games and, try to drive a much larger crowd to their restaurant. There's a lot that can be done with geofencing. If you are a local gym and you want to try to target with some of those big box fitness studios out there, like a 24-hour fitness or an LA Fitness or somebody like that, we really want to make sure, one, that we know exactly what the restrictions are that are still in place for fitness studios and gyms. And two, we want to know who are the competitors in the area. Somebody like a yoga studio may still be competing with an Orange Theory or something like that. So know the landscape, know who you're trying to reach, and then we'll figure out the best way to help you target them or help your advertiser target them. In phase 3, this is going to be July through September, and this is really a period where everything will likely be open. So this is a time to convert, it's time to close those sales, track results, and then take advantage of the recovery and the stimulus. I think the other thing that's going to be really important here is that as you look at July through September, it's also going to help you prepare for Q4. It's going to help your advertisers prepare for Q4 as well. I think that Q4 is going to be a really, really large time for digital advertising. I think we're going to see a huge influx in money and revenue. I think that a lot of people are going to be looking to go back to having a normal Christmas or a normal Hanukkah or a normal holiday season, and that's going to be really important. And making sure that people are running consistent campaigns and then driving that home in Q4 is going to be really important as well. So you just don't want to let people hit that Q3 lull. Please make sure that you're talking to your advertisers about running consistently. It's really important. Something like SEO is going to keep that consistency, and then we can kind of go through with different advertising strategies for each quarter and what's going to be relevant to your advertiser. I would say offering promotion and sales and different sales to current customers is always going to be critical. If you have a way to, beat your competition in the market because of a specific offer that you have in place, we need to make sure that your advertiser knows how to get that to their customer base. Advertising experts advise brands skip the platitudes and focus on recovery and resilience to help consumers spend or indulge in new products and services. I like this one. Don't beat around the bush. Get to the point. Tell your advertiser that this is how we've seen other businesses in their area do it. Certainly reach out to us for case studies or industry-specific case studies. We want to show people that they need to be direct with their message, but we also want to make sure that they're taking into consideration all of the other things that are going along with opening up after the pandemic. So again, making sure that safety concerns are taken into consideration. Brands should also focus on affordable, value-packed products and services. Again, the best example that I can think of here for advertising something like this is going to be a display campaign or an email campaign. If they are an affordable product or service, so they're offering an affordable product or service that offers a lot of value, that's going to be critical. And I think, on our end, one of those products that offers a lot of value for not a lot of money is going to be local SEO. And again, I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail here in just a moment. Making sure that your advertiser has the right digital ad mix is going to be critical. So while most of the reps that I know like to focus on one or two products and go out there and sell them, then to me, you're kind of cutting out the sales funnel aspect of that strategy. We want to make sure that we know what the goals are. We want to make sure that they have multiple products running so that they can drive people down that sales funnel and convert. That is, the basis of what we do on a daily basis. If you have worked with your advertisers to follow this plan for spring and early summer, leads and sales should be keeping their businesses busy. We should be able to continue to drive foot traffic with products like Device ID and other geofencing products. We want to make sure that we're continuing to keep foot traffic up, and that we're also continuing to focus on conversions with something like a paid search campaign. Excuse me. So post-COVID targeting, this is definitely something that I like to look at. So really want to, focus on not taking that customer base for granted. Has your advertiser shifted their customer base since the beginning of the pandemic? Are they focused on a different area of that business? COVID's really shaking customer loyalty to the core. As you know, a lot of people started the pandemic out wanting to support the mom and pop stores in their area. Pardon me. But some of the restrictions certainly made that difficult. People selling out of inventory certainly made that more difficult. But these folks are the exact people that are looking to rebound. And so we want to make sure that their name, their services, their products are all out there and in front of the people in their area and their customer base so that they know that they're back open and that they're ready to resume business as usual. Focus on these top 3 advertising perspectives, past customers who want to know how and what you're doing. Again, are you open? Are your hours of operation consistent with where they were before the pandemic? Look at nearby customers who want to support local businesses. I certainly am one of those folks. I love getting takeout from mom and pop shops. I love buying car. I'm looking to buy a car from a local business rather than a huge dealer. Lookalike audiences are something that we can certainly build. So what we would really do is run a campaign for an advertiser. We would look at the data and figure out exactly who their customer base is, and we can duplicate that by targeting people with similar demographic and behavioral attributes. So certainly something that we can do. There's a lot of different strategies that are in place here. And for those of you that are familiar with digital advertising, you'll know that it's typically not one product that's going to get you there. It's really about a combination of them to make sure that we're hitting people on every step of that sales funnel. Now I kind of want to dive into some specific products. So we're going to talk about some very specific things that we offer. These are all things that we can throw into proposals for Susan and her team. I think these are specific products that you're going to see a lot of in our industry, and certainly want to make sure that everybody here understands what exactly that looks like. So in 2020, several years of marketing disruption and innovation were compressed into a few short months. So people had to adjust and move quickly on their feet. So, marketers were seeing a cut in budgets that will benefit by moving towards cheaper and more flexible channels, such as programmatic. We are seeing an influx in programmatic. 70% of the internet users worldwide were using their smartphones. Keep that in mind. That is a critical piece of information for all of us digital advertisers out there. 86% of people look up the location of a business on Google Maps. That is critical. 72% of consumers who perform local searches visit a store within a 5-mile radius of that specific area. That's another big one. Retargeting beats all other ad placement strategies with a 1,046% efficiency rate. Retargeting is something that I think is overlooked, especially when we want to talk about things like cart abandonment. That is really critical. So if we have worked with an advertiser and they have delivered display ads. One of the things we like to do is package in site retargeting so that we are starting to reduce the amount of cart abandonment and we're getting back in front of those loyal customers. 63% of customers prefer messaging and online chatbot. Keep that in mind. Chatbots are huge. They're growing. They're all over the place. Advertisers are utilizing them so that they can keep tabs on potential customers on non-business hours or during non-business hours. I think that's really important. If you're an auto dealer who's trying to compete with some of those larger auto dealers in your area, I think one of the first things that you will notice is that there is a chat bot on every single auto dealer's website that I have been to in the last 2 weeks. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I am currently in the car buying process. And so that's the example that comes to mind first thing. However, the chatbots can be used by any and every small business. These are automated chatbots that can be plugged right into your email or text messages as well. So if your advertiser's business is closed from 5 p.m. on, this is a way for them to know that they've had a lead come in and that they can follow up with that after the fact. So these are some of the recommended products. I'm going to go through these briefly, and then I'm going to dive into each one in a little bit more detail here in just a second. So set up your advertiser's marketing mix for optimal results. There are 5 key strategies every business should include. And again, this can change. We have other products, but these are the 5 that I'm seeing that are the most helpful during this recovery period. The first one's programmatic display. Programmatic display is one of those tools that's out there that is not going anywhere and something that is going to continue to grow. Even as we look at the cookieless future, I think that programmatic display is going to continue to be huge. There's a lot of different targeting capabilities that we have within programmatic display. Programmatic display isn't just resigned to display ads or banner ads. This could be programmatic pre-roll or something like a native campaign as well. But we always want to make sure that we're following people with these products, we're tracking the reporting, and that we are also tracking engagement and that we can optimize based on the results that we are seeing. Along with programmatic display, in my opinion, always goes retargeting. Most of the display packages that we sell will include some form of site retargeting, and a couple of them will include search retargeting as well. Site retargeting just comes along with a little pixel that we place on the back end of your site, and is a great way for us to get back in front of those customers that have been to your site. Device ID or any other geofencing products that are out there, we want to make sure that they target past customers, people that have been into your store before, people that have been into your competitor locations or your competitors' locations, people that have been to large events or gatherings. We can certainly target those before. One of the nice things about device ID is that we have different look back windows that we can really focus on. And I'll touch on that here in just a minute. Local SEO. Again, I've said it 3 times now already. I'm going to say it again, and I'm actually going to touch on a slide that will show you specifically what I'm referring to here. And then chatbots. Again, I think these are great. There's a lot of opportunity that comes with them. They are inexpensive. And I think it's a great way for people to keep tabs on the leads that they may be losing during off hours. So why utilize programmatic display? Outstanding reach. It's visually appealing. There's strong brand awareness. It's highly, highly targeted. We work with a DSP here at AdCellerant that gives us access to hundreds of thousands of different targeting examples. So again, we talk about if you want to target red-handed, left-handed golfers, that's certainly something that we've been able to do. Not always the best group of people to target because it gets pretty narrow, but there's a lot of different targeting capabilities that we have. If you're working with an automotive dealer and they want to target people who are interested in new cars or used cars, or specifically Toyotas or Audis, or used Audis or used Toyotas or used Camrys or Camaros or something like that, there's a lot of different options that we have, and we can get really, really refined and specific. We do have access to over 90% of all internet users through our DSP. So there's not a shortage of people for us to reach out to. And there's a lot of different capabilities that we have within that particular product. programmatic display, it really helps with having strong brand awareness in your market. We look at frequency caps. I'm sure this is something that many of you are familiar with, but we want to make sure that we're getting ads in front of your advertisers' customer base frequently. We want to see that those folks to see those ads regularly to draw on that brand awareness and make sure that they're being recognized in their market. Site retargeting. Again, one of the most effective ways to reach your advertisers' audience. This is really a very product-specific look at a way to retarget. Again, we need to have a pixel placed on their website in order for us to do this for your advertiser. Around 90% of visitors that leave never return to your advertiser's website. So we want to make sure that we get in front of them if they do leave. Cart abandonment is something that we look at quite a lot. I'm certainly guilty of this, of going to a website, placing something in an advertiser, or going to an advertiser's website, placing something in the cart, and then walking away from it. And that's something that we really, really want to try to get in front of. Just by placing that pixel on the site, that means that we can get back in front of people, we can drive them back to the website, and we can help them convert. 68% of marketing agencies now have an allocation for remarketing. Again, this is something that's critical, and this is one of the reasons why we include this in all of our display blends. 17.5% of apps running retargeting see a 25% conversion rate. There's a lot of apps out there. There's a lot of different ways that we can get in front of people and a lot of different ways that we can convert, excuse me. Retargeting, as I mentioned, beats all of their ad placement strategies with 1,046% efficiency rate. So some big numbers there and some really effective ways to get back in front of people. So what is device ID targeting? This is a geofencing product that we tend to rely on quite a lot here at AdCellerant. We also offer micro proximity targeting. But device ID geofencing is a way for us to create custom shapes around specific areas or locations. These can be very specifically drawn around very uniquely shaped areas. Susan, it looks like you have a question. Susan, I apologize. I don't have access to the Q&A feature, so you may need to relay that along to me.
Okay, we can wait until you're finished, until the end.
Okay. Yeah, I've only got a couple more slides, and to be honest with you, I can go through one or two case studies, and then we can open it up for Q&A.
Perfect.
Cool. So with device ID, we can do a look back all the way up to a year. So it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, 9 months, whatever that time frame is. It could be 8.5 weeks, whatever that might be. But we really want to focus on targeting competitor locations. We don't typically do radius targeting with device ID. It's a very specific polygon, as we refer to them. So, if you want to target an entire stadium and that stadium is round, we can draw a circle around it. We could draw a triangle around it, whatever. But it's really about being very specific about where we're targeting and where we're gathering those devices. Demographic and interest targeting is certainly something that we can access through device ID. It tends to be a little bit of a different strategy than polygon targeting, but definitely something that we can do. And then we can always do category targeting. Now, if you have a list of specific competitors that you want to target, I highly recommend providing that information or getting that information from your advertiser. But we can target random things like yoga studios and coffee shops and generically labeled businesses like that, or restaurants. But again, if you have specific competitors that you want to target or your advertiser wants to target, then we would need that list. There are 4 different types of DID strategy that we typically look at: location-based targeting, address targeting. So if you're that auto dealer and you have a list of names and addresses you specifically want to target, we can do that. Quick select, that would be for your yoga studios, coffee shops, and restaurants. And then, if you want to target anybody 25 plus who's interested in automotive, we can certainly do that as well. We do have what's referred to as our legacy audience extension here. We typically were able to do a 12-month look back, but because of the pandemic, one of the things we worked on building out was what's called a legacy audience extension. And that allows us to target people that were visiting different locations before the pandemic. So while we can't necessarily do a full 18 or 20-month look back, what that means is that we saw these folks at these locations pre-pandemic, and we're able to scrub their devices and make sure that they're still up to date, and then include that in our audience. And then last but not least, as I've said many times now, local SEO is critical to your business. Just looking at some of the benefits of local SEO, people who have an updated Google My Business page are 2.7 times more likely to be considered reputable in their market. They're typically likely to garner about 7 times more clicks to their website, and also gather about 70% more likely to attract local visits or location visits. Again, this goes back to going to click to call or click to directions. If you Google something on your cell phone like El Tacos de Mexico and you want directions there, that's a great way to drive that. And people are about 50% more likely to purchase based on these SEO efforts. So there's a lot that goes into local SEO. It's a very inexpensive product. It's great for people who have multiple locations, but really what we're expecting in terms of results from those campaigns are going to be increased Google Maps rankings, increased foot traffic, increased visibility for geo-modified or geo-implied searches. So I'm looking for tacos in Denver, or tacos in my area, or tacos in Virginia. You know, all of that is going to be critical here. Geographical targeting results are going to improve. And then we also want to make sure that we're merging those duplicate listings. A listing is something that would be considered like a Yelp listing, a Google, a Yahoo, a Bing listing. All of those we need to make sure are accurate and consistent across the board. So that's something that we do within our local SEO product. So I do have a couple case studies. It looks like we've only got a few minutes. So wanted to talk about this restaurant one because I think it was you know, a great example of how we helped a business kind of come out of the pandemic. But this is a local or a display campaign plus local SEO. And they were looking to help this restaurant increase their orders during the pandemic. The objective, again, making sure that not only orders for takeout, but for delivery were there. We recommended a pairing of display and search, and this one also had local SEO in it. We really wanted to make sure that we had a full funnel strategy. We behaviorally targeted individuals who exhibited interest in restaurants and cuisine in their area, and then we bid on those keywords in that area. The result that we saw is that the client was able to increase orders by about 65% during that campaign period. And we enabled the business to generate close to $100,000 in business. So this is a little bit more of a high-end restaurant, but as you know, some of those high-end restaurants really had to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to save their businesses during the pandemic. So I've got some additional case studies here, but I think Susan and I are going to make sure that everybody has a copy of this deck. We'll also make sure that you have access to a recording if you need it. But I think we should go ahead and open it up for Q&A if that works for you, Susan.
Yes. So we have a question. What digital solutions would you recommend for a summer event series with the goal of driving people to attend and track the people who were reached by the ad who then attended the event?
I think so. A couple things there. I think I'd want to know what state you're in and also where you're at.
Let's say Virginia.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll say Virginia.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let's say it's Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Okay, so the reason I ask is I would want to know if there have been any other similar events in the area like that recently. I think device ID targeting is always going to be good, but again, branding and awareness right now, people are looking to get out of the house. So running that branding or that programmatic display campaign, it could be pre-roll. You could also, layer in an element of streaming TV or something like that in there. But if you're looking for people who want to target live events, live music, performing arts, things like that, those are all capabilities that we have in all places and areas where I would recommend starting so that you can say, I want to target people that have an interest in going to this live event, and you can reach them with a programmatic display campaign. And then we would want to make sure that we're layering in some other solutions, maybe specifically utilizing DID to target other events that are similar to it, or, also maybe doing like an email campaign targeting, again, people who are interested in live events. Again, after the fact, what we would want to make sure that we're doing is following up on that reporting for any additional events that may be coming around the bend. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, yep. And then you can also provide attribution reporting
Absolutely.
to show who attended that event.
Absolutely. One of the nice things about device ID targeting is that we can draw polygons not only around competitors, but we can also draw them around that business owner's business or their brick and mortar location. And we can actually deliver ads to devices, and we can tell you who received an ad and if we saw them on location. So a lot of what we would refer to as foot traffic attribution reporting.
Great. I don't have any other questions, and I know we're like out of time now. So
Cool.
We will have Chris back. We are planning a quarterly digital training calendar right now and have a lot of good topics. So it'll be probably Chris and or Ben coming in to help us do some training. So we'll have many more sessions, and if anyone has specific questions or even topics that they would like to cover, we can absolutely plan those.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, you can pass those along to Susan, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of those that you have for me, Susan.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Chris. Have a great afternoon, and thank you to everybody for attending.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you all soon.